£18,000, and Mrs. Cotton was artificially inseminated with the sperm of the husband. Lawrence McGuinty is at the Victoria Maternity Hospital in North London.
The latest news here from the Victoria Maternity Hospital in Barnet is that Mrs. Kim Cotton has started her contractions. A hospital spokesman stressed that Mrs. Cotton was admitted to the hospital at the request of her doctor to be delivered in the usual way. But it's a far from usual birth, the first ever in Britain to a paid surrogate mother. Inside the hospital, representatives of the Daily Star newspaper, which first broke the story of Mrs. Cotton's pregnancy, have surrounded her with a secrecy worthy of a film star. This birth is bound to cause repercussions. Already, Barnet Council has expressed concern and said that it has the power to apply for a court order to take the child into care if and when it's transferred to the childless woman who paid £14,000 for it. Last summer's Warnock report wanted this kind of commercial arrangement outlawed, and Health Secretary Norman Fowler has warned that there are powers under the 1958 Adoption Act to prosecute if money changes hands in adoption cases. Mrs. Cotton's pregnancy has brought all these issues to a head. And now back to the studio.
With us is James Townend, QC, Secretary of the Family Law Bar Association. Lawrence McGuinty did say it was far from usual, but is it illegal?
It's not illegal, provided that the parents who wish to have this child are not going to try and adopt the child. If there's any attempt to adopt the child, then it would be criminal.
That's the point Lawrence McGuinty was making
Yes.
when he said there are powers under the Adoption Act
but
to prosecute.
only if there is an attempt to adopt the child. If there's no attempt to adopt the child, if the matter goes ahead simply as a, if you like, private arrangement, then there's no illegality in it at all.
Now, what is the legal status of this child throughout the rest of its life? Is it the son or daughter of the lady who gave birth to it?
Yes, and the child will be illegitimate.
And what other complications might there be for this child?
Well, the other complications that there might be for the child, and the complications which lead to the problems which the Warnock Committee have looked at, are these: that at any time the natural mother of the child might come back in its lifetime and say, I want that child. I want to have my child, for it is her child, with me, and either mount a wardship application or a custody application, and seek the care and control of the child.
That would be open to the local authority?
Well, it could be open to the local authority, but it could certainly be open to the mother herself without any intervention by the local authority.
But if no one else is looking after the rights of the child, could the local authority take such a course on itself?
No, the local authority would be in some difficulty in taking any steps on its own, provided the child was properly looked after, as no doubt it would be. But one can envisage the case where the child would not be properly looked after, in which case the local authority might step in the same way that it would with any other child. The real problem for this child is that its natural mother could change her mind tonight, after its birth, or change her mind in 2 months, 2 years, or 14 years' time.
Does the child have any rights in the matter at all?
The child has no rights as such, save this, which is possibly the most important right, to have its interests considered as more important than any other single interest in determining with whom it should live for the rest of its life, or for any period of its life.
What would your organisation say to an argument which ran something like this? Once you concede a woman's right to an abortion, say, the right to dispose of an unborn child, it's only a short step to her right to sell it when it is born.
Well, it seems to me that quite different considerations apply. The right of a woman to say, I wish to have an abortion, is, I would have thought, now established as being the right of any woman to deal with her own physical condition and her own life in a way which does not impinge on the life of another living human being. I agree there are all sorts of arguments about when life begins and so on. But having said that, where one is dealing with a child who is alive, born a human being, and growing up as a human being, then other considerations, it seems to me, apply. And what one has got to do is look at the child. The whole of our law is based upon looking at what are the interests of the child and trying to follow the best interests of that child. And to that extent, disregarding or certainly playing down the interests of either parents or others who may be concerned in the day-to-day care of the child.
James Townend, QC, thank you very much. Now, more of the day's news. Officers from the anti-terrorist squad are still questioning 3 men about the disappearance from Britain of Mohammed Shebli, a cousin of Libya's Colonel Gaddafi. He went missing after being granted bail on drugs charges. The 3 men, all of whom are Britons, were arrested yesterday and taken to the ultra-secure Paddington Green police station in London. The arrests followed a visit by detectives to Cairo, where they interviewed 2 Britons who admitted plotting to kill the former Libyan premier on Gaddafi's orders. 5 people have died after taking a drug widely prescribed for fungal skin infections, such as athlete's foot. The Committee on Safety of Medicines, a government watchdog, says that doctors have also reported 77 other cases of liver damage among patients taking the drug called Nizoral by mouth. Since its introduction 4 years ago, doctors have written 700,000 prescriptions for it. The makers, Janssen Pharmaceutical, have advertised Nizoral as suitable for all fungal infections, but today the Committee on Safety of Medicines warned doctors to weigh carefully the risks and benefits of the drug, especially when treating mild infections where other drugs might be just as effective. However, the drug is not to be withdrawn because the committee believes it's particularly valuable for treating severe infections. Ethiopia has angrily condemned the secret airlift of thousands of Ethiopian Jews by the Israelis as interference in its own affairs. It's also accused Sudan of conspiring with Israel in what it called the illegal trafficking of Ethiopians. Here, the coal board claimed 710 strikers returned to work this week, more than in any of the 3 weeks before the Christmas holiday. The miners' union has consistently disputed the coal board's figures, but today the union's vice president, Mick McGahey, appealed to men who'd gone back to rejoin the strike. He said he hoped they'd learn the lesson that they had no future without a strong union. Now, business and economic news. 650 engineering jobs are to go in Scotland and the northeast of England. The Trafalgar House Group is to close its Redpath engineering foundry at Middlesbrough with the loss of more than 200 jobs, and it's asking for 90 redundancies at its Cleveland Bridge and Engineering factory in Darlington. And Babcock Power is to shed 350 engineering jobs at its Renfrew boiler-making plant near Glasgow. P&O is selling its Anglo-French ferry business for £12.5 million to rivals European Ferries, who own the Townsend Torreston shipping line. Another travel firm has cut its prices as the battle for summer holidays hots up. Global Holidays is making big price cuts. It's been a good day for the pound. It gained more than 0.4 cents to just over $1.15 1/3, and sterling's index against 17 top currencies rose 0.1 to 72.9. On the stock market, the Financial Times 30-share index climbed 12.3, and the broader-based Stock Exchange 100 added 8.5. And in New York tonight, share prices are easier. A short time ago, the Dow Jones average was down 6.18. Cricket, England had another frustrating day in Calcutta as the third test against India headed for a draw. India finally declared their first innings at 437 for 7, leaving a day and a half for England to bat. At the close, the tourists were 99 for 2, Fowler scored 49 and Robinson was 25 not out. The day started well for England when Carnes ended Shastri's marathon 3-figure innings, but the fielders soon had to find other things to do, like sign autographs, practice their football skills, or even catch up on the latest news. Things got so bad that even Gower came on to bowl before Gavaskar finally declared, much to Edmund's relief. The massive crowd was infuriated by India's tactics and threw oranges onto the pitch. The day ended with Fowler being caught just one short of his half-century. 7 years after his death, Elvis Presley fans are preparing to celebrate what would have been his 50th birthday next Tuesday. Even the British Post Office is issuing a special First Day Elvis cover, and preparations are underway for a special show at the Hammersmith Palais. One devoted fan spent last week making a birthday cake, spelling out Elvis's name. The London show is in aid of charity. Across the Atlantic, the celebrations have rather more commercial overtones, particularly in the town where Presley died, Memphis, Tennessee.
He was the poor white boy from Tupelo, Mississippi, who knew how to sing black music. With his greasy hair and his sideburns and those swivel hips, his records were banned in decent homes, and on family television he could only be filmed from the waist up. But still, in his 42 years, he generated more than $100 million in record sales. The sad fact is that he's worth maybe 10 times that much now that he's dead. The Memphis City fathers are now as keen as everyone else to cash in on their most famous, if not their most favourite, son.
WLBS in Memphis, FM 94. This is George Klein on the only radio station in the world named in Elvis's honor, WLBS. And of course, it's Elvis Week in Memphis. 40,000 people are here. Big things are happening. And here's the one that started it all for Mr. Presley. His very first solid gold record, Heartbreak Hotel.
Well, since my baby left me, well, I found a new place to dwell. Well, it's down at the end of Lonely Street, that Heartbreak Hotel. I'll be just lonely, baby. Well, I'm so lonely.
Oh, these are beautiful of Elvis. I just love him so much. That's good. How long have you been staying here? I've been here a week.
Nobody had to beat up a market for Elvis.
Yes, it's beautiful.
All they had to do was tap into Middle America and watch the money flow.
Gonna tell me maybe about Uncle John. Baby got a million buddies out on the
Dennis Wise had a plastic surgery job done at his face so he could actually look more like his hero.
I did it because I loved the man, and I just didn't want to see anybody else do it that didn't care anything about it. The fans have just been really super nice to me. As a matter of fact, I've only got one bad letter. The lady had said it was sacrilegious what I was doing.
Dennis now makes a good living off the memory of a dead man, but he's unhappy with the ethics of the so-called Elvis industry.
Love me tender, love me sweet, never let me go.
These dolls sell for $90 each, and they made $25,000 of 4 different dolls, $100,000 total.
Now, there is a doll that's more expensive than these.
Yes, there is.
How much?
They made 750 that sells at $2,500 each.
And you'd have no trouble selling a $2,500 doll?
No, no trouble at all.
Across the road, Graceland is the Presley home. And now Graceland Enterprises wants to clean up the Elvis industry. But at the same time, clean up the cash.
I'd like to welcome you all into the TV room. As you can see, there's 3 televisions directly in front of you, and Elvis liked to watch all 3 of those TVs at one time. He got the idea from President Lyndon Johnson, who liked to watch all 3 network news broadcastings at once. Elvis preferred football.
Yeah, we'd like to welcome you here into the den. Elvis nicknamed this the jungle room, and it was his favorite room. Decorated himself, and it took him only 30 minutes to pick out all the furniture you see in here now. It's teak wood covered with imitation animal fur.
You could never really call this understated elegance. But for a dirt-poor family from Mississippi, this really was a kind of hillbilly heaven. And in any weather, the fans file through the house where Elvis died. More than 1 million people over the last year at $6 a head. There are simply no fans like devoted Elvis fans. Betty Lou Watts fitted out her motel room here with just a few of her 2,000 Elvis pictures and one of her prized pair of life-size Elvis dolls. It's not accidental that you've put the speaker in the chest. It's close to the heart, isn't it?
That's where it's coming from. That's where all his music is coming from his heart. And when anyone comes to my home, I play the tape. I play a tape, and right away I say, put your hand up to his chest. You can hear the vibration of his voice.
On that note, I wish you a very good weekend.
Now the weather, starting with the rainfall pattern for the next 24 hours. Eastern coastal districts will have scattered showers at first, some wintry. This rain area will spread south, turning to snow, producing moderate falls over hills. Most of the snow will fall over Lincolnshire, East Anglia, the East Midlands and South East England, but a light dusting is expected further west. Tomorrow we'll see further sleet or snow showers, mainly in the east. Temperatures very cold everywhere, with a severe frost in parts of the northwest. So the eastern half of Britain will become mainly cloudy, with only a few sunny intervals tomorrow. The west will have a clear night with some freezing fog patches, but after these clear tomorrow morning, there'll be long sunny periods.
9, 8, 7, run BT.
In a brand new series, Channel 4 takes a New Year vacation with Leslie Judd and Company.
Each week I'll be chatting about a different country to people who've recently been there.
And taking part in Holiday Talk will be the likes of Dennis Healy, Pamela Stevenson, Diane Keane, and starting the series, Derek Nimmo in one of his favourite cities.
Go to Venice, and it was my very first time in Venice. You're just absolutely spellbound and breathless by its sheer extraordinary beauty.
Explore the beauties of Italy and discover some useful holiday hints in the first of a brand new series for the new year on 4, Holiday Talk, next Tuesday at 8:30.
Well, there's not much in the way of talk next tonight when our silent optimist gets a windfall, but finds there's a few rotten apples in the barrel.
Starting January the 16th, you can enjoy Air Canada's good old Canadian hospitality to Singapore, with the inevitable results. Air Canada to Singapore. Flights so good, you won't want to get off.
Take a look at what's been happening at Luton Airport. The new international terminal really does know how to look after you. And we service some of the best-known operators. For further information and your Luton International Airport holiday guide, phone DIS 4111.
Now on 4, N. Reitel goes in for some positive thinking, hunting and shooting in The Optimist.